The film opens during a wedding ceremony where Catherine and Alexander are marrying. Catherine is much younger than Alexander, and their union is arranged by their families. There seems to be no love between them. Later that evening, with the help of the maid Anna, Catherine changes her dress and waits for Alexander. When he arrives, he tells her to stay inside and not go outside, despite her desire for fresh air. He then orders her to take off her nightdress and goes to bed without touching her. The next morning, Catherine sits by the window, recalling her time outdoors. She feels trapped in the house. One morning, Anna wakes Catherine and helps her get ready. Afterward, Anna goes downstairs, sits on a sofa, and falls asleep. Meanwhile, Alexander, his father Boris, and another Englishman discuss a trip to London. Boris interrupts and tells Catherine she must stay awake to wait for Alexander. He instructs Anna to keep her alert. After a while, Alexander returns and again tells Catherine to remove her nightdress and face the wall. Instead of being intimate, he pleasures himself while sitting in a chair. He shows no interest in touching Catherine or having children with her. The next day, during breakfast, Alexander leaves, and Boris informs Catherine that he is going to London. When she asks about Alexander's whereabouts, Boris tells her there was an explosion, and Alexander has gone to it. Left alone, Catherine runs outside to enjoy the fresh air. The next morning, Catherine wakes up on the sofa when she hears a man rushing across the balcony. Curious, she follows him to the barn and discovers that farm workers have taken Anna and placed her in a sack. Furious, Catherine shouts at everyone to turn away and quickly helps Anna down. While she reprimands the workers, she finds herself drawn to one of them, Sebastian, who picks her up off the ground. Afterward, Catherine warns the workers about their actions before heading back into the house. On her way upstairs, Anna informs her that Sebastian is the new groomsman. That night, Catherine struggles to sleep, feeling lonely because her husband never pays attention to her, and she lacks someone to talk to. The next morning, Anna notices that Catherine is already awake and preparing to go to the fields. Anna warns Catherine that Alexander has prohibited her from going outside, but Catherine ignores her and heads to the fields, where she sees Sebastian walking a dog. Later, while Catherine is in her room, she hears a knock at the door. As she opens it, she finds Sebastian outside. She tries to push him away, but he manages to enter. Initially, she resists his advances, but eventually she gives in, and they make love. The next morning, when Anna goes to wake Catherine, she realizes that Catherine spent the night with Sebastian. With no one around to judge them, Catherine and Sebastian stay in bed most of the day. Worried about the affair, Anna tells a local priest, who comes to warn Catherine. However, Catherine dismisses him, assuring him that there is no problem. In another scene, Anna is out gathering mushrooms when she encounters Sebastian. She cautions him about seeing Catherine, pointing out that Alexander is not around, using the example of a dog to make her point. The next day, Boris returns home from London. During dinner, he requests his favorite wine, but Anna nervously tells him it is gone. When he asks why, she stays silent, knowing that Catherine drank all of it. Furious, Boris humiliates Anna by making her sit like an animal. Later, he learns about Catherine's affair and goes to find Sebastian, brutally beating him and locking him up afterward. Back at the house, Boris tells Catherine that he hasn't decided what to do with her yet. When she asks about releasing Sebastian, Boris strikes her. The following morning, as they have breakfast, Boris scolds Catherine again before going to his room. Catherine locks the door from outside, and suddenly Boris starts choking. It turns out that Catherine has poisoned her father-in-law's breakfast. Anna, devastated by what has happened, goes silent. Catherine then tells Anna, who is shocked, to get a doctor. Once Anna leaves, Catherine rushes to free Sebastian. Soon after, the doctor arrives and declares Boris dead. Later, Catherine receives a letter from Alexander saying he won't come to the funeral because he dislikes both his father and Catherine. At the funeral, Catherine pretends to mourn and takes pictures next to her dead father-in-law. Since Anna can't speak, no one suspects that Boris was murdered. Afterward, Catherine takes control of the estate and the house. One day, while with Sebastian, she tells him how much she loves him. Sebastian is worried that Anna might reveal the truth, but Catherine assures him that she will keep it a secret. That night, Catherine is woken by a noise and rushes to the window, discovering Alexander has returned. She quickly hides Sebastian on the balcony and sits on the bed as if waiting for Alexander. When he arrives, he questions her about why she is still awake, and she claims that the horse disturbed her. During their conversation, Alexander sees a belt and becomes suspicious. Catherine convinces him that she found it on the farm and uses it to check her weight. After this, she makes tea for Alexander, but during their chat, he accuses her of having an affair with Sebastian. He orders her to end it and stay in the house. However, Catherine brings Sebastian inside and begins to kiss him in front of Alexander. In a fit of rage, Alexander confronts Catherine, leading to a fierce fight where Catherine ultimately defeats him. Later that night, Sebastian buries Alexander's body in the woods while Catherine shoots at his horse to hide any signs of his arrival. The next morning, Sebastian acts as if he owns the house. With their newfound freedom, the couple enjoys their days together. One day, a woman named Agnes arrives at their home with a child named Teddy. She claims Teddy is the son of her daughter and Alexander. Although Catherine tries to deny this, Agnes reveals she has documents proving her statement. After a lengthy discussion, Catherine decides to let Agnes and Teddy stay in the house. This angers Sebastian, who realizes he will have to move out to a smaller building, and he warns Catherine that Agnes might be lying. Despite their differences, both groups start living together. The following morning, Catherine wakes up feeling uneasy and discovers she's pregnant with Sebastian's child. As she plans to share the news with Sebastian, she is sidetracked by Teddy, and they wander into the fields, talking about birds and trees. Later, Catherine approaches Sebastian with a bottle of wine, but he is still upset about losing the house to Agnes and Teddy. He tells her to return to the mansion. While watching Agnes and Teddy play in the courtyard, Catherine sees Sebastian following Anna and calls out to him, but he ignores her and continues on his way. That night, everyone learns that Teddy is missing, prompting a search in the woods. After some time, Sebastian finds Teddy alone by the river. He considers throwing the boy off the cliff, but decides against it. Back at the house, Catherine and Agnes are worried about Teddy's absence. Just then, Sebastian returns with the unconscious boy in his arms and tells them to get a blanket to warm him up. Seeing Sebastian take charge, Agnes insults him by calling him a servant who shouldn't give orders. Even though he helped save the child, he feels humiliated and storms off to pack his things. However, Catherine stops him and promises to do whatever it takes to keep them together. After returning inside, Catherine offers to care for Teddy and suggests Agnes get some rest. The expression on her face shows that she has different plans. She walks over to a window, opens it, and lets Sebastian inside. While Agnes is sleeping, Catherine and Sebastian use a pillow to suffocate the boy. After the boy is gone, Sebastian runs away into the woods. The next morning, while working around the house, Anna finds the boy dead next to Catherine and quickly goes to tell Agnes. Catherine feels no remorse for what she has done, but Sebastian is found crying in the woods, burdened by guilt for killing the child. After crying and confessing his sins to God, he rushes back to the house. Inside, Agnes is heartbroken over her grandson's death, while Catherine lies, saying she woke up to find him lifeless. The doctor, however, grows suspicious because the boy has bruises all over his body. As everyone talks, Sebastian bursts in and admits to all the terrible things he and Catherine have done. He reveals that Catherine poisoned her father-in-law, killed her husband, and took the life of the little boy so they could be together. Catherine denies his claims and instead blames Anna and Sebastian for the murders. She tells everyone that her father-in-law was killed because he found out about Anna and Sebastian's relationship and threatened to separate them. To support her story, she tries to involve Anna, but Anna can't speak and remains silent. Because of this, people believe Catherine over Sebastian, and soon both Anna and Sebastian are arrested and taken away in a police wagon. In the final scene, Catherine is left alone in the house, as the maids have also left. She roams the empty rooms, looks out the windows, descends the stairs, and sits on a sofa, feeling the baby inside her with her hand.